Welcome to On Texas Football. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Rod Babers, expert. We're starting a new series this year with Rod Babers. It's called Second Watch with Rod Babers. Rod's going to go a little inside the X's and O's of each game as soon as possible after the game and really go over his big takeaways from the game and tell people what he's seeing and thinking right now based on the previous day's game. Rod, I tell you what, it was a good game for the Longhorns, 52-0. You and I talked post game, and there were a lot of smiles, not only on yourself, but me, Brian Robeson as well. Jerry Hamilton's talked about it. CJ, really complete overall performance. So I'm kind of interested in the things that you found out and saw on Second Watch that you want to discuss a little bit heavier.
Oh, man, I got a few things, so I'll try to keep it short because I know people don't have a lot of time here, and attention spans aren't that long. But let's start on defense because when you get a shutout, that's rare, especially as a season opener. I think the last time was 2004. We got to start there, guys. And something that I've been talking about, I've been diving into down the rabbit hole with is the Johnny Nansen influence and the Johnny Nansen effect. And my theory was that we would see a lot more exotic looks from PK's defense with Johnny Nansen now joining the team because PK he's very progressive. He's open to a lot of ideas. Same thing happened when Gary Patterson joined the staff. He was very open to evolving that defense so that it countered the Big 12 culture a little bit better. And they started playing a lot of quarters coverage, a lot of match quarters. That was kind of became one of their bread and butter coverages, which is a Gary Patterson influence. So I was thinking to myself, hey, Johnny Nansen coming in. Arizona's defense, by the way, the most exotic, most multiple defense in the country 2 seasons ago. It was, every week they had something different. In my notes, just in my film watch, I seen them run a 4-2-5. I seen them run a 3-4. They had a 3 high safety package they broke out at one time. They ran dime. They ran quarters. They ran nickel. They ran the double legal flex. They ran it all. Johnny Nansen was as exotic as he gets. And I thought to myself, I wouldn't see any of that in the Colorado State game. Why would you break any of it out? You don't have to. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was wrong about that, actually. And some of the third and longs was actually early in the game. First got a third and long. I think it's 3rd and 14, I believe. And I tweeted this out on my Twitter account. There was one play, and he combined a lot of exotic looks. Something you brought up, Bobby, I'll give you some props. They had a 3 safety look, a 3 high safety look they threw out there. They also ran a dime package. Guys, I've been tracking Texas football for a long time. I got all these notes. You guys know that. I can't remember seeing a lot of dime package from Texas in the last 3 years under Sark. It is very, 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 very rare. Extremely rare.
It's not what PK wants to do. And no. or has not historically. That's why you're talking about the Johnny Nansen influence here.
Yeah, right? and maybe because they like the depth at DB. That could be it too. And Sark's talking about versatility, so that helps. But they had a dime package. They ran a 3 high safety presentation with an inverted Tampa 2 coverage. It was, and it ended up being a 4-1-6. So that's 4 down linemen. The 1 linebacker was Anthony Hill. Moved Jadae Barron inside to the nickel at the time. It was, guys, I got to tell you, as a football fan of Texas, I think that is just a peak. Right, a little sneak peek of things to come with that Johnny Nansen influence. So I think that's just a part of it. Also, something I thought you would see more with the Johnny Nansen influence was single high safeties. At Arizona, nobody in the country in the Power 5 ran more single high looks than Arizona. Single high, so you got 1 deep safety. Some people call it middle of the field closed because that 1 safety is closed up the middle of the field. 2 deep safeties, that's middle of the field open, right? Because you got 2 deep and you can, the openings right in the middle, right? So they ran a lot of middle of the field closed, single high safety, probably over 75% of the time. And that means they were in man coverage or they were playing some version of cover 3, probably a pattern match cover 3 of some kind. And that actually you saw in this game. Texas, usually under PK, they're pretty balanced, about 50 to the 45 to 50%, between 2 high safeties and single high safeties. In this game, guys, you're over 62% from my calculations, at least over 62% single high looks. All right. They kept bringing that other safety down. Go back and watch it. It was always another safety coming down into the box as a robber or coming down to try to help and run support on the edge. So they were playing more man. They were playing, I think, more cover 3 and with that Johnny Nansen influence, playing more single high. So that's just a couple of things I've noticed from the Nansen influence. I think we'll see a lot more multiplicity and malleability from this defense with Johnny Nansen's influence. That's part of the reason you got the shutout.
Does that? I just have a follow-up question for you because I think it's fascinating. You are genuinely you can be excitable at times. We all can when we're talking Texas football. But Rod, I sense a little difference in your voice right now. This is one of those times where I think people need to stand up and listen to what Rod has to say about what Johnny Nansen and Pete Kwiatkowski are doing, because it's almost a fundamental change of what we've seen from PK over the years.
Yep.
This is not, hey, we're going to play base defense and try to beat you with our people.
Yep.
We're going to move our people around and try to also exercise that kind of value and get that out of these guys too. I mean, am I wrong, or is that you
right.
really getting excited about what they're doing?
There are other details, with Colin Simmons. Look at the way they kind of moved him around at times. They're planning on using the versatility, Anthony Hill, use some versatility of these athletes, and that's the reason it's been a buzzword for Sark this offseason. Versatility. He talked about Jadae Barron playing multiple positions, and they moved him around from the corner, moved him back to nickel at times in different situations. So I think you're right. I think that there's no question this is PK evolving. I'll give him credit because that's not having too much pride, a lot of pride from coaches. Yeah. They don't want to evolve. It's my system works, and that's, we'll run my system. That's it. He has evolved, I think, a ton since he's come to Texas, and that's why the defense continues to get better. And also something I noticed too, and we talked about this, and I think it's hopefully this is kind of just a small sample size, right? So we're thin slicing here, but I think the DBs are more buttoned up. Something you brought up that you noticed in practice, that now the nickels, corners, and safeties all have individual coaching. They all, because now they have Scotty Hazelton working with those nickels, and we obviously Blake Giddy and Terry Joseph working with the safeties in the corners. They seem like, to me, they were that the eyes were a little, the discipline of the eyes was better for players overall. And like I said, this small sample size seemed like the technique on some of the bump and run coverage was a little bit better when I guys. Gavin Holmes was a primary example of that. There was a beautiful play on his PBU. I mean, that might be the best rep. I'm not joking. I've seen Gavin Holmes have at Texas. It was a real rep, which means I will put it on the reel of film that I show and teach young DBs. That's how you want to get a perfect rep. That's a perfect rep almost that he had there. And so I'm noticing better fundamentals. Also noticing guys situationally, they're starting to think the game through better. I think leverage is better with the DBs in terms of how they're playing the routes and the leverage they're using. You see there was a 4th and 2, I believe, that Colorado shot to convert. Remember this? It was a very short. There's only a few of those. And Michael Taft, I believe, ended up breaking up the pass, jarring the ball loose on that situation. And it was just you go look across the board, all the DBs are playing press. They had one deep safety, but every DB was playing press. Guys in the slot were playing press. Guys on the outside. It was 4th and 2. And all he was running was a quick out. He was rolling out, and it ran like a little waggle, and he was just going to throw it to the quick out right there at the sticks. The guys were thinking through the game. Like, no, don't give them that. They're not going to throw it deep on 4th and 2. Sark might, but not everybody else. Right? They're not going to do that. They're going to the sticks. So they're thinking the game through. Malik Muhammad on that, he got a PBU. It was a 3rd down, more like a 3rd and 8, somewhere around there. I believe he got the PBU. Go watch how he played that route. And go watch him. He's sitting at the sticks. He's playing off. And we know he's playing off with a little outside leverage, which Logan fans complained about all last season. Oh, you're playing off with outside leverage on 3rd down. They're just going to run an inside cut on you. And they're right most of the time. But if you're patient and you sit at the sticks, because there's a 70% chance they're going to run a route right there at the sticks to get the 1st down rather than running a deep route where the percentage of them converting drops precipitously, then you're thinking the game through and you understand, okay, it's going to be right here at the sticks or before the sticks. So I can slow my back pedal down. I can slow my shuffle down to the point where I let that cushion break down, and I'm right there when he decides to make that break. And that's exactly where he was. He was smothering that guy at the time.
Almost been an interception out of that play.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, if the pass would have been on target, it would have been an interception most likely.
Yep.
That's the kind of thought process. All right, look, second watch with Rod Babers today, brought to you by our friends over at Duck Camp. Rod's wearing the hat. I'm wearing the shirt today. Duck Camp gear is made for the people that live for the moments out there, where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, and football to watch. They like doing all that stuff. So they built a company centered on it, based in Austin. It's Duck Camp, dedicated to giving people best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel. From opening day to game day, they've got you covered. At Duck Camp, they believe you can't just sit around and wait for adventure to come to you. You have to get out there, stay out there, and make the most of each and every second. Here's the great seasons, y'all. Yes, hunting and football. Shop hunting gear at duckcamp.com. We appreciate their sponsorship here of On Texas Football and their participation with Second Watch with Rod Babers. All right, Rod, the second thing that you had on your list that you sent me a little bit, the pony package, which is your this is your baby. You love the 2 running back set. That's what you call the pony package. 2 running back, one tight end. You're saying to me the pony package isn't dead, even though we lost Cedric Baxter. What did you see that makes you feel that way on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm glad to be wrong about this. I still think the usage will decrease just because you don't have the depth at running back you want to have. Oh, maybe they don't. The way Jared Gibson looked, listen, if he could learn how to pass protect consistently and then ball security is not an issue at all with that young man, he can run the rock now. I haven't seen him catching the football, but Sark doesn't recruit guys who can't catch the rock. Like, that's such a big part of his offense. But getting back to the pony package, I thought the usage would decrease, precipitously, pretty much with the injuries. I don't necessarily think that's the case. We saw it in the matchup versus Colorado State. And what I like about this, though, when we see it in a matchup versus Colorado State, they're going to be a vanilla game plan. Like, that's just intentional by Sark. He doesn't want to reveal too much before a big game against Michigan. That means it's part of the fabric of the offense now. That it's no longer an exotic element of the offense. That it says part, it's 11 personnel, we got 12, and then boom, we got your 21 personnel. This is just part of now the DNA of Sark's offense. I like that. It started out as, I think, as an exotic element, and I think now he's going to deploy it and use it. But once again, I just throw it out there. It's still your most effective, most explosive, and your most efficient personnel grouping. Now, you didn't do kind of jack squat when it comes to running the football out of 21 personnel this time around, but your yards per attempt, over 10 yards per attempt, completion percentage, 75% completion percentage, your explosive play rate, you had 6 plays out of it that I counted, and you had 2 explosive plays. That's a pretty damn good ratio. You had 3 first downs out of it. That's a pretty damn good ratio. That's what I love about the pony package. It's not necessarily that every down it gets you, those explosive plays, but the explosive play rate and usually the first down rate is exponentially higher. And that was the case, guys, last season. I mean, you guys know I said versus Washington, they should have been running it more versus Washington. And versus Washington, they averaged, 10 yards per play out of the pony package? It works, guys. It works. All right. I got Nick Saban on the record talking about how much of a pain in the defending 2-back sets is. And I think that's the case for Texas, even though they don't have the full complement of running backs. So I'm happy that the pony package is not dead. Also, something else, and this is something that kind of picked up from the Washington game, something else that I thought Texas really, I missed the boat on when it came to the Washington game was the empty formation. I talked about that a ton, right? The end of the season last year that Texas was doing, at least Quinn was looking a lot better out of empty formation. I saw it in this matchup. Now, you didn't use it as much as I thought, but you did see it. And remember the last 3 games of the season, if you go look at it last season out of the empty sets, and that's when you have no backs in the backfield. For those who don't know, when you motion a guy out or you just line up, just the quarterbacks in the backfield, that's it. I mean, Quinn was over 76% completion percentage, over 12 yards per attempt. Your explosive play rate and your first down rate through the roof. I mean, up 30 to 40%. In this matchup, I'll say that I was shocked to see it because I thought empty's an exotic element. You're not going to see it. I saw a little bit of it in this matchup. Completion percentage over 66%, over 13 yards per attempt, and you got 2 explosive plays out of it. The explosive play rate was hovering around 60% out of empty formation. So this goes to what I said about Sark. I'm glad that now those elements are no longer exotic enough where you're going to break them out for big games. They're just part of the fabric of the offense. But I would like to see Sark be an extremist with those cheat codes and those force multipliers in that sense, where you look at them and there's exponentially a higher rates of explosivity, higher rates of efficiency. Hey man, I know Sark doesn't like to play the hits and he doesn't like leftovers. All right. But when in a game like against Michigan, if Michigan, like Washington, couldn't stop empty and they couldn't stop the pony package, ram it down their throat. Don't stop it. Don't be a moderate when it comes to those things. And I think that's the next growth for me for Sark is, stop the moderation in big games with things like that, because he's a brilliant play caller. So I'm not critiquing Sark, Jesse. I just think that's, to me, the next step, that if he wants to become the best play caller in college football, which, hell, he's already in the conversation, I think when he becomes an extremist with certain concepts like this, and he got the same stats I got. I'm not revealing something. I'm revealing this stuff to you guys. He's got this stuff. I think that's when I think we'll see Sark. Truly, to me, that'll make him a chess master in terms of winning that chess match within the game.
I think that he does it in part. And I've thought about this. I think he does it because he doesn't want this team to ever be one-dimensional.
I agree.
He doesn't want to be. And I'll give you an example. Gus Malzahn, really good offensive coordinator at times, when he has the right personnel and he can kind of pick at someone's weak spot.
Mm-hmm.
But then he'll go score 10 points one game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
yep.
Sark doesn't want to get caught in that one-dimensionality. But to your point, sometimes if you're playing a team and you need to be one-dimensional because you can keep, as you said, play the hits, that's good stuff. Look, the idea there is that, and I quote you here, Rod, the pony package and empty are becoming a fabric of the offense. They're not just exotics anymore.
No, agreed.
So that's good stuff. All right, wide receivers. You told me and wanted to go over this. Wide receivers better than we thought in this system. I don't know. I'm going to say this. I don't know how that's possible, given some of the preseason thoughts and hype around the wide receivers. But you told me you came back and you wrote, Bobby, wide receivers better than I thought. What led you to that conclusion?
Well, they all actually do bring something to the table. I mean, I thought the assumption would be there'll be separation with these guys, and there'll be a wide receiver one, things of that nature. Actually, I'm starting to lean now more that this will just be truly a elite group of receivers, but it'll be different players in different roles stepping up in different times in different games. I truly believe that. Now, like I said, it was Bond who led you in targets and receptions. Ryan Wingo led you in yak yards and yards totally. Golden led you in touchdowns, and he was your red zone weapon. And then Jonte Cook led you in yards per reception and had the longest reception of 40 yards. It's like, so they all actually do provide an elite, element to the offense. Like I said, that kind of got me giddy. And I first of all, I love the way the red zone. I mean, you're talking about it, Matthew Golden, and what you saw from Isaiah Bond in the red zone. Just shows me that I think in the red zone, a lot of your issues, and we can talk about that probably and take us a whole nother show to get into how Texas in the red zone looked like early on, that they may have found some solutions for their issues in the red zone. But I just think you got your receivers and you got a real full complement of these guys. And something that I predicted that would happen, that Sark would go with a higher early down, early game pass rate. And I believe first 5 drives that I calculated that Texas had around a 58% pass rate on the first 5 drives of the game. And I think in the first half of every game this season, you're going to have 58 to 60% early down pass rate.
Why is that? Why is that?
Well, put the ball in Quinn's hands, right? We lost C.J. Baxter. You lost some of your potency at the running back position. But look at this wide receiving core you got. Look at this group of wide receivers you got, man. DeAndre Moore didn't have a target. Guy started the game. He didn't have a target. That's how deep you are at wide receiver. Silas Bolden didn't see much action, but caught a touchdown from a creative, improvising Arch Manning. But I think now you just lean on your strength. Your strength determines your identity. Don't force it. And Sark said that. You don't force it. You kind of let your identity naturally evolve and organically evolve as a coach. And unfortunately, injury was a big part of that. A lot of Longhorn fans, I remember hearing them on the chat during the post game. They're not happy with the push from the offensive line necessarily. Okay, then I know what your identity is. Your wide receiving core is one of the deepest in college football. Quinn Ewers is, one of the top quarterbacks in college football right now. Top 2 or 3 is going to be potentially the number 1 quarterback taken off the board if he has a hell of a season. And your O-line returns, 40 to 5 starters. And your coach, I love Sark. He's a brilliant play caller and a play designer, but I think his brilliance shows more in the passing game than it does in the run game. I think we all agree with that. And when Sark, go look at Sark in big games, Oklahoma's, your Oklahoma State, the Big 12 title got thrown at Alabama last year. Go look at the early game, first half, early down pass rate, first and second down. It's 58, 60%, because that's when he's truly in his creative, bag, if you will. So I think this season, in order to supplement whatever you lost with CJ Baxter, give the ball more to Quinn Ewers on those early downs, early in the game, and get him in a rhythm with that wide receiving core. And that's the screen game. That's the quick game. That's your RPO game. And that's a second nature throws to him. And we saw Quinn. I mean, Quinn looked great. That's the interception, and that's a little off, but he's not perfect. So that's you want to critique him. That may be the one thing you critique, but for the most part, man, Quinn looked great. And where does he look at his best, at his most elite as a quarterback? Short intermediate throws. Boom. Like he looks like the ball is on the money. And that's right now can supplement your running game. The pass should open up the run this year. You pass, it should be a pass to open up the run team, in my opinion. And I think if you go the other route, you're doing the defense a favor, making life easy on them.
I agree with you. I thought the wide receivers were complimentary. They spread the ball around. Quinn did a great job. Don't forget about the tight ends. They look good.
They look great.
The running backs look good, other than the drop from Jaden Blue. I mean, they've got some pass catchers, to your point, that can elevate it, that stuff as well. All right, before we go to our last point that Rod wants to make, as well as let Rod kind of have the mic and do his overall assessment here on the second watch with Rod Babers, we want to say thanks to our sponsor, Duck Camp Gear. Duck Camp is made for the people that live for the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, football to watch. They like doing all that stuff. So the company built a company centered on it, based in Austin, and dedicated to giving people best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel. Duck Camp Gear has been tested from the backcountry of Alaska to the dove fields of Texas, also ready to keep you cool and comfortable on these scorcher game days. It will stand up to the toughest of conditions, but also happily sit down beside a fire and drink a few cold ones, if that's more your speed. Some of the features they have: new sun protection t-shirts that keep you cool, dry, and comfy. Iconic game series hats. I love mine. Game series hat. You know you like it. Me and you both. I've really been using this mallard clay-covered pointer hat as well that has the dog on it. Pretty much our cherished burnt orange color. Here's the great seasons, y'all. Yes, hunting and football. Shop hunting gear at duckcamp.com. Thank y'all for your sponsorship here for Second Watch with Rod Babers. All right, Rod, last one you had before we go to the overall piece. You wrote Jaden Blue dual threat.
Yeah.
Jaden Blue dual threat. I talked a little bit about that just a second ago and included it in your assessment of the receiver group. But why do you feel the need to call that out?
Well, there is a deliberate and a premeditated effort to get him the football in the passing game. And I think it's a remnant of what he visualized the offense was going to be when he had CJ Baxter and Jaden Blue. He was going to turn Jaden Blue into his, weapon that could a 50-50 guy. 50% time he's a running back. The other 50% of the time he's a weapon in the passing game. And when you lost CJ Baxter, you're like, okay, well, old Chicago, I gotta Jaden, I need you to take on. Some people thought he was going to take on the Jaden Blue role and take on more of that. I think what Sark is going to ask him to do is even more difficult, to do both. And he got 6 targets in that game. That's a lot of targets for a running back, guys. 6 targets. And you remember this play, Bobby. There was one play where, it's out of 21 personnel actually, where they designed a kind of a swing screen for him, and he dropped it. It was a beautiful throw. Beautiful throw. Ball was on the money, and he dropped it. Very next play, Sark comes right back to it. This time gives him a lead blocker with his and just like, no, we're going to do it. You're going to catch this pass. All right, it was wide open last damn time. And that's what I'm talking about from Sark. That was it. But that was a perfect example of being an extremist. It was wide open. Your guy just dropped it, obviously lapsed in execution. You know what? Let's run it again. Let's see if they have a solution for it this time, great. But if they run the same thing they did last time, man, we're gonna be off and running. And he did. He basically ran the same concept back to back, right? And that's what I want to see from more. Sorry, you know what? Until they stop it, let's keep on running. Play the hits, baby. Play the hits. But I think that Jaden Blue, and the last time Texas had a running back go for 1,000 yards, because he's capable of it. That's obvious. Looking at him, looking at his skill set, he can do that. They have 1,000 yards and have at least 30 receptions. You got to go back to Hodges Mitchell. Doesn't happen a lot, right? Guys with third, you get 1,000 yards. Usually, you're bell cow running back, and not usually in a pass game like that. But Sark says the most underutilized weapon in the passing game is the running back position. So he's true to his word. So I think Jaden Blue's going to be in that category. I think Eric Metcalf did it before Hodges Mitchell. And there's been a lot of guys who rush for a G, but also can be a weapon to that extent in the passing game. I think that's his intent with Jaden Blue. So I think Jaden Blue, if he rushed for like 70, 77, 78 yards a game in like 13 games, he'll rush for 1,000, somewhere around there, if my math is right. But I think the weapon that he can be in the passing game is going to be really interesting and compelling. 6 targets in that game, and he was forcing him the football early on. I mean, one of the first 2 or 3 plays.
He put a lot on his plate. I thought.
Man,
I was thinking. This is what I was saying, and he cramped up late. Sark said so.
Yeah,
they didn't play him in the fourth quarter, and I thought that Sark would give him 13 to 15 touches a game. Sark's thinking more 15 to 18.
Yeah, he is.
Point, from the looks of it, right?
I think he told Jaden Blue, between him and Jaden, this is my theory, man. I want you to go to league, all right, and I'll give you the touches. You do your thing. And if you do that, NFL scouts will come get. Because the running back position now, we know, trying to get drafted high as a running back is a fool's errand. I mean, they're really good running backs. You drafted 3rd, 4th round. I mean, if you do that, great. But now it's about shelf life as a running back and your value in the league. You got to get there and start getting paid ASAP, sooner the better. And I think Sark is being realistic with these guys about that. And it's like, hey, man, I know you need to get to the league, and I think the faster the better. So I think that's what's going on, and they're going to feed Jaden Blue, man, feed the beast. So he's the guy. No question.
Right. Rod, that does it for the things you told me that you wanted to talk about. Is there anything else on your rewatch or your second watch that you would say, hey, Bobby, this is something else that stood out, or an overall big picture item, a big ticket item that caught your attention?
Just, man, overall, the depth and the speed, man, they're just deep. There was just not a lot of drop off. Usually when the backups come in for Texas, even back in my day, it's drop off. You know what I mean? There's a drop off you see in execution and, in really overall speed and just the way that the physicality they play with. And I didn't see much of a drop off, man. These guys, this is a really impressive roster that Sark has put together. I think that you want to look at the overall macro point. That's the macro point to me. And like I said, I think this is just a start. I think defensively they're going to be a lot better. And maybe this is why Sark wasn't concerned about pass defense like we were in the offseason. We kept talking about it. Pass defense. What are they going to do about it? Sark really wasn't concerned about it in the offseason. We talked about how he didn't seem like that was one of the urgent points of emphasis. And I think he knew that they were coming in with a bag of tricks. They were going to upgrade in talent, number one, which they did in secondary, and the Nansen bag of tricks. We're going to bring some exotics to the table that's really going to help pass defense. And that was already evident. And those guys, they're just better right now. That secondary, they're better. I can tell you that right now. Now, is it going to be one of the best secondaries in the country? Could be. If they play like that every game, but consider the opponent. But they're better. There's no doubt about that. No question.
Rod, this is going to be an excellent new feature for people on Texas football. Second watch with Rod Babers. It's going to be appointment programming. I really love how you break it all down, Rod. Really, really do. Again, second watch with Rod Babers coming to you every Sunday or Monday, depending on when the games are and when Rod can do all the breakdowns, because he actually has all those stats. So I'm going to go back over them real quick. 62%, Rod said Texas went with the single high safety. He thinks that the pony package and the empty formation are now part of the fabric of Sark's offense. It's no more just an exotic. He also thinks the wide receivers are better than he thought, and Quinn's going to really utilize that first down, second down, early passing in the first half more frequently, and the emphasis around Jaden Blue being a dual threat. All right, Rod, we'll see you later. For, again, Rod Babers, Bobby Burton, we appreciate you guys. We also appreciate our sponsor, the guys over at Duck Camp. Have a good one, guys.
Welcome.